Hey, look, you can see my face. I got the title card up here. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Today's video is going to be two things that you want to get done before starting a website. This is super basic. I had a potential client come in today when I was talking to him, and he was kind of asking me how he could get ready for a site. He's kind of semi-friend, so it's not really the kind of thing where I was trying to like really sell him on and get a lot of money out of him. I was just honestly trying to help him. And yeah, so because I was trying to help him, I just kind of gave him like the bare bones of what he's going to need if he's going to start on a new website. So we're going to kind of go over that now. Okay, so been doing websites forever. You know, I see what works, what doesn't work. Again, real quick, I just apologize for the lighting. It's really dark in here. It's nighttime, and I usually rely on the daylight, but I was just going to go for it anyway, and I hope you don't mind. But, okay, so back to the two things you need. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what they are. The first thing you need is a style guide, an identity guide, a brand guide. It doesn't have to be super thorough. It doesn't have to be super crazy, but you need one. The second thing you need is a, let me move this a little bit, is a sitemap. And I'm going to give you one example of both of those things in this video, in this stream. And I'm going to, I'm going to try to help you out. If you're trying to make a website, these are the two things that you really need. And this video is huge. This is like a meta video. This is like it. If you really focus on these two things, like your website will do whatever it's supposed to do. I want to say that these two ingredients, though, alone are not everything. In addition to this, I highly recommend kind of looking at, how your business is structured. And I'll talk to you about that in a little bit more as we go through the things I'm going to talk about. Okay, so the first thing you need is a sitemap, and I'm going to pull up a sitemap here. Let's keep my face in there. So here's the sitemap, since there's a little bit of space, let's move it so you can see the whole thing. Okay, this is a website I did for my brother, Bobby. We recently just kind of put it out there. This website is a hardscapes website. They do concrete restoration, stuff like that. This is a little bit, I knew that no one would ever see this but myself. So it's a bit kind of low-key. But basically it has everything. So I didn't actually put the sitemap in, but I'll put it in here. So the sitemap would be is basically a list of all the pages and the structure in which the site is done. So the sitemap would be home, about, what else we got here? Home, about, services. I think it was, the next one was well, let's just look at the actual site. Okay, so this is his site. So this is the sitemap. It's either here or here at the bottom. Hold on, bad with the mouse. You can see over here, sitemap. And you really just want to get down what pages you're going to have. And this very much depends on how your business is structured. So for him, there's a home, about, services, FAQ, which means frequently asked questions, testimonials, blog, contact. This is super standard, guys. Super standard sitemap. Now, within this, you can have additional sections. This site didn't really need it. I could give you a more complex example at a later time, but right now let's just stick with this because it's simple. Home, about, services, FAQ, testimonials, product, or blog, and contact. This is for a service-based business. If you're doing a product business, just change out the services section with either the features or the product section. Usually features would be what you would use, because product would be like a page where you'd actually be able to purchase it. But these are getting to the point where they're more or less universal. And if you look in my sitemap, you can see that I kind of mapped out all of the copy for everything. See this? So here's the services section. Here's all the copy that goes on the services section. Here's the about section. Here's all the copy that goes on the about section. Here's the homepage. You can see this is basically like what I'm going to include on the homepage here. Now, once I have this, and I have it pretty solid, I know exactly how many pages are going to be in the site. I know how much time it's going to take me to do every site. I know everything. I can, at this point, the client would come to me after I have something like this together, or if they put it together, and I can give them a quote, and I can give them a solid quote, and I can give them a timeline on how long it'll take. So that is the value of having a sitemap. Also, too, from an SEO perspective, you can kind of figure out how you want to structure your content and all that stuff, and how it's the most understandable and everything. So there's the sitemap. Now, the other thing I said that you need is a style guide. Now, that's so first sitemap is like constant or content. The style guide is more about aesthetics. So I grabbed one off of Behance. I don't have a public one I can show you because all of mine are covered by NDAs. So I just grabbed this random one. It's pretty solid. So I'm going to kind of explain to you what's going on. So this is the logo mark. This is like the cover page for the style guide. Here is the description of the business. Blue Beta team is a group of ambitious engineers looking to change. Okay, so this is like a summary of what the business is. It's kind of like this would be used at later times when you're creating content, either video, flyers, and you're trying to quickly explain what the business is like. This is pretty long. Most businesses don't really need this much. This is what they do. Services, branding, identity design, corporate IDs, web design, illustration, Blue Beta. It's weird that there's a style guide for a branding company out there. It's like, why would you, if you were a branding company, why would you hire someone to do your style guide? I don't know, whatever. They might have just did it in-house. Okay, so they could kind of know what everybody could be on the same page. This is the logo here. This is the logo, and you can kind of see the color palette. And they're kind of more nailing down the color palette. This is a real cool color palette, all blues. When you're kind of explaining this to the client, you have to use lots of fancy terms like, we have a cool, refreshing palette with very aquatic colors. And this blue is the blue of the Filipino bay that I fell in love at. So it's very special to me personally, and that's why I included it in your brand guide. You know, like when they go to the meetings, I'll explain some fluff like that. This is all, so all this stuff that we're going to go through is basically just smoke and mirrors in a brand guide. Not essential, not an essential component of a brand guide. It's more just showing them kind of what it would look like. Here we go, these stairs, not essential in the brand guide, showing them what their culture could be like, what their place of business could kind of look like. Valuable, but not essential, not an essential aspect of a brand guide. Here is the hell is this? The light bulb. I don't know. I don't know how this relates to their brand. I don't know if they did the best job there. Here's some soda coolers, kind of just showing you how you could implement their logo into brand guide. Not the best job here, but you get the point. Still, again, another non-essential thing. So far, of the essential things, we have the description and the services. Here's what the business might look like. This is kind of a cool mock-up. I like this. So if you were in the stage where you didn't even have a business yet, something like this would be awesome. Like for me, I could put something like this up and act like this is my real office and charge a lot more because people would expect it if I have a big place like that to pay for. Okay, we got some icons here. So these are like branding icons. I would, on a scale of essentialness, I would say this is like kind of in the middle for a brand guide. Then we got their social media. So you can, in the brand guide, you can set up how their social media profiles would look. This is great. This is very important. If you are hyper specific about how you want their social media to be, then you would include it in the brand guide. Here is a photo with company culture. Yet again, it's just kind of to get a feel, you know, like, hey, we drink. That's kind of saying how you have the culture. Here's the website. So this is how the website is supposed to look. Sometimes you'll set up a brand guide like this and it won't necessarily, you know, come out this way, but you can kind of get started and get an idea of what's going on. Oh, here in this context, we can kind of see what was going on earlier with those icons. But, you know, I was like, what is happening? Bringing ideas to life. You have an idea, then you have a sketch, then you have an app. You have an idea, then you have some code, then you have a web page. Makes sense now. Excuse me, I got like an ear thing. Okay, more stuff. This is like how their web page would look. This is their footer. And that's about it. Now, this is actually in a scale. Oh, wait, this isn't the last. This isn't the end of it. So here's how their mobile app would look. It's kind of like a mobile app. It looks more like a web page to me because there's nothing really appy on there, but it would show like this is basically like the mobile version of their website, of their you know, of their web page. I don't really think this is that great. I would give this like a 6. Okay, so here's the good stuff. Now here's the meat of the style guide. This is the actual style guide. So up until now, other than the description and the services, everything was kind of more or less like a demo, an example, almost I would say fluff. But here we go. So here, so we're talking about web or their app right now. This is how their buttons look. There are 2 sizes of buttons. So they're specifying, you know, in our website, there's only going to be buttons that are 2 sizes. Okay, there's this big one and do it. This is a little bit limiting, but I mean, if you have a team who's building the website and you want them all to be on the same page, this is great. Form fields, you have a minimum width here for the form fields. You have the font sizes set up. They still haven't given us the specific fonts that you're using. It might be kind of inherent just because you could get the font from the guide, but they're not stating it explicitly yet. Okay, so the hover state. So when you hover or push the button, they're telling you how to do it there, and they're telling you how to do it there. That's great. This is great. Calls to action. This is non-button calls to action, just text link calls to action. So this is the top menu. You know, at the top of the page, it would usually be around like up here somewhere. And these are the 3 colors again. These are the hex codes. Hex codes are like these numbers here, and you can use them in code. You can also use RGB or RGBA to kind of define them. Hex codes are generally speaking a little bit safer for web, highly recommended for web. Okay, so we got the hover state. And here is a kind of demo GIF. I would have done this with an MP4 if this was my Behance. This is a demo GIF of what the website would look like. And then that's it. So you notice, some things I want to point out is you notice with this kind of super simple video, this is not even really like a skeleton. This is just kind of giving you an idea of the feel of the website. The next phase in the process, they would actually take the information from the sitemap and implement it into this, and then they would create like a legit website. This is more or less just kind of trying to give somebody like a feel of what their website would look like. You know, it wouldn't be like a law that you'd have to obey at this point. You could kind of deviate from it a little. Especially because it's highly unlikely at this stage of the game they actually have pictures of the staff like they do here, you know. When was this done? 2017. I would rate this style guide about like let's say like a 6 or a 7. It's not the nicest style guide I've seen, but I had to just go ahead and grab one. Okay guys, well, I hope that was helpful. A lot of people have asked me about this type of thing, so that's why, you know, I brought it up. I'm gonna go now, and I hope you liked my video. I will see you later. I'm out of here. So just remember, the two things you need are a sitemap and a style guide. I'll see you later. Bye.